I'm Sheri Ann Richerson from experimentalhomesteader.com, and today I'm here to talk to you about planting. I have two different kinds of seeds. These are a cinnamon scented gardenia, and this up here is nutmeg, and I'm really excited about these nutmeg seeds. As you can see, I've had them wrapped in a little bit of saran wrap, and they aren't all germinated yet, but quite a few of them are. I've had them in these little Petri dishes, and inside of that I've had some moist paper towel. As you can see, I have one nutmeg seed here that has quite a nice root on it. It's grown into the paper towel just a little bit, so I'm going to have to be careful when I take that out. And I like these peat pots. I like them an awful lot, because once I get my seedling growing, I can transplant it into a larger pot without having to uproot the whole thing. So I use these quite a bit. And all I do is, I take the little peat pot, I fill it up with some seed starting mix. This is an organic seed starting mix. It's also from Jiffy. Just kind of pat that down a little bit. I couldn't find my small little shovels today that I usually use. I use ones that are created for bonsai typically. And once I get that filled with soil there, I'm going to put this in here like this. I use hot water to do this with. I'm going to put a little bit of hot water on the top of this pot, and then I'm going to put a little bit down in here. Normally I would have this done, but I've had so many people ask that I wanted to do it on camera. I'm just going to let this set for a few minutes, and while that's happening, I'm going to try to work on getting this nutmeg seed out of here. Okay, there we go. I'm just very gently pulling at the paper towel. Okay, there is my nutmeg with the root on it. That's one. I'm going to set it right here. And I thought I had seen a second one that's not really out yet. Okay. These other seeds are germinating, but they're not done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant the one today. I'm going to put the lid back on this. I'm going to wrap it back in the saran wrap. And then I'm just going to set it aside and keep an eye on it. I do check my seeds on a regular basis because I need to make sure they're not molding. Sometimes they do. If they do, I put a little bit of hydrogen peroxide on top of them. I change the moist paper towels out every 2 to 3 days, just for safety purposes. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open these cinnamon scented gardenias that I got. I have oh wow, there's one, there's two, there's three. Okay, I have 3 of these that have germinated. Let me make sure there's not any more. Okay, that one's getting ready to. Okay, there's 4. Okay. Okay, and I have one that'll be ready in a few more days. So again, I'm just going to close this back up. I'm going to seal them up, and I'm going to set these aside. So I'm going to need a total of 5 little pots. 3, 4, 5. Okay, and again, I'm just going to fill them up as far as I can fill them with the peat, or the seed starting mix. It is peat moss based. I can tell that from looking at it. And if you're wondering why I bothered to put water in the top of these little pots, it's just to add some weight to keep it from tipping over. A lot of times I will handle these seeds with tweezers, especially if they're particularly small. I don't know what I did with my tweezers the last time that I planted. I couldn't find them today. So that's why I didn't do that. Okay. And you do want to just kind of press this down. I'm actually filling these twice because you don't want air bubbles in here. And then, as I said, I'm just going to take this and I'm just going to, and you can see some of it will come out. Okay, and then I'm just going to fill this up. I want to make sure these don't tip over as I'm filling. You could do this the night before, and that just helps tremendously, because then when you get ready to plant, your little peat pots have already absorbed plenty of water. And while I'm waiting on that to happen, these are just blinds, the slats out of blinds. And that's what I use for markers. I'm going to go ahead and cut these up. I mark on them either with a Sharpie or with just a regular number 2 pencil. The reason for this is I find that that works better. I don't like a lot of the markers that come with the plant tags. They are too fat, and I find it really hard to use them. Excuse me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write the botanical name and the common name. Now you could write the date on here if you want to. I'm not going to do that. Okay, that was my nutmeg. And now I'm going to make 4 tags for my gardenia. And by the way, if you want to know where I got these seeds from, I got them from J.L. Hudson Seeds. Look him up on the internet. All of his seeds are really high quality. And I really like his seeds. I buy from him almost every year. You can get some really interesting seeds that you can't get anyplace else. And if you know how many seeds you're planting, you can go ahead and pre-do these. I like to wait until I actually open up my little seed cages and I get ready to plant before I do this, because I've done it ahead in the past and ended up making too many. And I don't like to waste these little tags. So I'm going to do the 4 cinnamon gardenias. And as I'm putting these in, it's actually making a hole that's allowing some of this water in the top to release a little bit. This is going to be my nutmeg over here. Okay. I'm feeling like that's doing pretty good. So what I'm going to do is, again, this is my nutmeg seed. I'm going to very gently poke a hole in this. I'm going to lay this down, taking extra care not to break that root. You don't want to do that. And I'm going to cover this up. Now, I'll probably end up later today putting a little bit of vermiculite on the top of this, because I think it helps keep the top of the soil from drying out quite so much. Okay, and now I'm going to plant these little cinnamon gardenia seeds. They won't go quite as deep. They'll just kind of lay like that right on top of the soil. Okay. There's another one. Okay. And I think you can see how these kind of start to soak up the water. That's the actual amount of water that these are sitting in right now. I will probably add a little bit more. For longer roots like this, I will need to make a little deeper hole because, again, I don't want to break that root off. And I have found by pre-germinating the seeds like this, I do get a higher germination rate, and I waste a lot less soil and peat pots, just because I know that every seed I've planted, that one's kind of turned sideways. This is where tweezers are good, but I'll use this pencil. You know that every seed that you've planted is actually germinated and ready to grow. So I do like doing that a lot. And that's all there is to it. So I will just set these in a nice warm place. Like I said, I'm going to put a little bit of vermiculite over the top later today. And I'll just keep an eye on them, keep them moist, until I start seeing plants growing above the soil level. And again, this has been Sheri Ann Richerson from experimentalhomesteader.com. And I've been showing you how to plant nutmeg and cinnamon scented gardenia seeds today.